Hey, what's up? I'm Angie, and this is New Path Tarot, and I am going to be doing a pick a pile reading for those of you who associate with being a Lightworker. You might also associate with other titles as well, but if Lightworker is one of them that you identify with, then this reading will apply to you in some capacity. So I have selected my 3 to help you decide which one you are. I'm using the Secret Language of Light to do so, at least to start with, and then we'll move on to some other decks. The first one is card 33, Soul Love. So if you feel the energy of this one and it's calling to you, the overall message of it, you're going to be pile 1. Pile 2 is Let Go, card 18. So if you identify with the let go message, or if you know there's something that you need to let go of, this message might help you with that. And card 13, Insight. If you're looking for insights, you might want to watch 3. Okay, and of course there's options. Watch more than one, or if none of them are really feeling like you today, could be in the future that you need to watch it, not right now. That happens sometimes. Like, I'll come across a video and I'm like, I'm just not feeling it right now, but it feels like I should watch it, but just not yet. So what happens is something will happen in real life and it'll, in hindsight, answer to you, why didn't you feel like you needed to watch it then? Was because what was being talked about would have been future, but now you understand it from a different level now that it's happened, or something has changed in your life. So one more time, Soul Love 33, Let Go 18, Insight 13. Okay, so starting with 1, if you picked Soul Love, I'm pulling more cards to get combination messages here. See what we're talking about. Okay, Divine Feminine. So Soul Love and Divine Feminine together, whether that be you or what you're wanting. Like if you're the masculine and you're wanting to know about the Divine Feminine. Let's talk really quickly about what Divine Feminine is in the context of this reading. Not necessarily the book definition on it, because you can go Google that if you want to. What I'm relating it to is somebody who is carrying the more feminine energies, but not necessarily the other person or yourself, but to me it feels like a balance needing to be achieved in both people, and therefore the feminine energy needs to be addressed in pile 1. Okay, see how that's a little different than, we're not talking about a female, Okay, create space. I can feel how that would be connected. And remembrance. Remembrance is heavy because there is a lot that can happen when you remember something that you're like, wait a minute, how did I even forget this in the first place? When you remember it, it can definitely unlock some doors. So let's hope that that happens today, where it literally gives you like a big boost and propels you forward. All right, one more. Light beings. So light beings, this is not you. This is your spirit side assistants, but a particular type, not just any kind of spirit, but energy, light beings that do a specific thing. I might go to the book to see what exactly this author's version of that is, instead of me trying to intuit it, just to get a little bit more context. Right. So, divine feminine, first message coming in is you're wanting to embody that as much as possible, which means not getting caught up in the everyday drama of yourself, is what I'm getting. Um, you have certain things that you need to deal with in your life, and you need to deal with them with a feminine energy. And when I say feminine, I do not mean gentle, sweet, loving, accommodating, enabling, and you know what I mean. I'm actually getting like a fierceness kind of feeling, like like mama bear kind of energy, but basically like I'm not playing anymore. I am going to put my foot down and take care of business because but let me redefine. It's not nobody else will do it right, so I have to do it myself. It's literally like I am going to, it's like a shift in mentality from being kind of like more complacent to being like take charge. So, take charge doesn't mean I'm going to do everything myself. It's like delegating. So, you're like, I am no longer going to be doing everything myself. I am going to say, you do this and you do this and you do this. It could be the divine feminine understands things from a different perspective. So instead of being a certain way, you might start being like tough love kind of mentality, or seeing the reason behind things and being like considering blessings in disguise kind of thing instead of I don't know. I feel like I don't need to expand on that one because it's already happened for that. Okay, so what else do we have here? So let's talk about remembrance and light beings. I think that's connected as far as how is it that you go about remembering. It feels like getting, if you think about the whole concept of the veil thinning, the veil is what is keeping you from remembering, because this isn't remembering this lifetime stuff. This is remembering beyond this lifetime stuff. So what is it that you need to remember in order to trigger a big awakening? Well, you're already awakened. This is different. This is like the more remembrance you have, the more you're integrating the divine energies, and the more you're able to connect with the light beings, because I think that's what's important. Right now, they've been behind the scenes, but if they take a more active role in your existence, and they're not able to until you pass a certain threshold of, like, it wouldn't freak you out to be interacted with by light beings. So how do they do that? They can work through automatic writing. They can work through when you are automatic writing, like when you're channeling information through, if you're writing a book and things like that. But you saying purposely, I'm gonna work to bring this energy through in a writing form, as opposed to I'm just gonna write for nothing, like it's just gonna be whatever. So this is like an importance being placed on it with an intention, creating space to do so. So you know, the creating space card, it's important to do this because soul love was the main card. And in order to be ready for the soul love that's coming through right now, you have to do this process of a higher awakening, because you don't want to attract to you a partner that's on the level of where you're going to have to be in the divine feminine role and they're going to be like unawakened. You are past that. You want to attract to you a divine masculine energy or divine feminine if you are the masculine, which means you have to balance your feminine if that's the case. And the feminine energy is intuitive. If you are logical and blocking out your intuition, then you need to remember the feminine energy and integrate it, allow it to be precedent. You know, you're potentially blocking the whole aspect of yourself, then you're not going to be able to have that soul love for another person and see somebody based on their soul, as opposed to seeing them as they are in this incarnation, and any kind of karmic story that they're subscribed to. You know, this is my history, this is who I am. Remembering that's not who you are, that's who you are this lifetime. Totally different. Divine feminine is beyond that ego identification of this life. And to be a light worker for other people, you're going to have to create space in the form of a barrier between your humanity and your soul purpose, and being like you have working hours and you're like, okay, right now I'm human, I'm taking care of human things, but you have that higher perspective in the background. But then you're like, but for what I do for a living, and I help other people in a way of where I am being a light worker, then you're creating space to do so, be it in time and space, not just literal space. Like, I'm not talking about clearing out a room in your house to work out of. When I say creating space, I mean space in your life to allocate to being a light worker. Because you might say, oh, I'm a light worker, but what is it that you actually do with it? And before you can also determine if you're a light worker, you might want to determine if you're also a shadow worker, because you can be both. You sometimes have to help people with their shadow before they can get to the light. And are you doing something that is going to help create other light workers, or are you just the light worker? How do you fit in? All right, so let's see what light beings is in the book. 35. Enlightened soul information. This image depicts a light being. I'll just hold it up while I'm reading it. The term light being is used to describe a range of ethereal forms, including guides and angels. They observe your life from a higher perspective, so they can see the most auspicious path for you to create your dreams and desires. Sometimes your light beings may seem to take you down a path fraught with difficulty. However, everything happens for a reason. Just as we know a baby will eventually walk, you will also find your footing and attain your dreams. Your light beings are not here to save you, for that would interfere with your ability to create unique paths and conclusions. They are the keepers of the faith that hold and stream your past, present, and future dreams and desires to your heart. Only you can decide what to do with that information. You can't get it wrong, for your light beings will just show you another way. Soul Mastery Class. Your light beings are always with you. Okay, so I'm going to skip from the meditation to inspired reflections and actions. Acknowledge how your soul sees you. Modify your beliefs about yourself in accordance with the way your soul sees you. Clear your mind of yesterday's dirt to enable a clear connection to your light beings. Meditation is as necessary as a daily shower. 5 minutes a day will quiet your mind, calm your body, and allow an unshakable peace to move through you. Ask for a sign or a feeling that your light beings are around you. I don't think you need that sign. I think you already know. If you're not meditating, the easiest way to work meditation into your day, or at least a side cut, not side cut, what's the word I'm looking for? Side, the word left my brain. It's like a side cut. My brain is not working. Like when you cut out, whatever. Shortcut. What the hell? Okay. A shortcut is do yoga, like the regular kind, where it's at least an hour long, and the end of the class has a shavasana in it, where you are forced to lay down and integrate the class. You do that, and that's your at least 5 minutes of meditation. So you don't have to actually work it into your day on the days that you do that. And you'll be amazed if you do yoga regularly at how it like fast tracks you into being able to be in an energy receptive state, in a state where you are receptive to the presence of light beings. Okay, so acknowledge how your soul sees you, feels connected to the soul love, because you need to have that soul love towards yourself, because you're identifying with yourself as the soul as opposed to the ego representation of you. And then create space is that clear your mind of yesterday's dirt. And in that case, I'm talking about forgiveness of mistakes that you've made even 5 minutes ago. You're like, oops, I made a mistake. And then you're like, okay, moving forward. No dwelling in the past. Keep moving forward, keep moving forward. Let's say you have somebody who comes into your life and they keep bringing up the past, and you're like, I'm not that person anymore. You know, I've learned, I've grown. So if you have people who keep reminding you of a past version of yourself, you might need to detach from that energy, because it's just keeping you there. Anything that's keeping you in an old energy, you need to work harder to shift out of having that old energy continue to be affecting you, because you're not accelerating as fast as you technically could be if it weren't for that. Okay, moving on. We're going to pull from the Lightworker Oracle. And, you know, if I don't feel like this deck or these cards are like, it's a Lightworker Oracle and we're doing a Lightworker reading, that's why I'm using them. That doesn't mean they'll have the right messages. Okay, grounding. That was the very bottom card that I noticed when I pulled them out of the box. That's why it's important to take the 5 minutes a day, because you are grounding when you're doing so. Because I feel like the meditation for you is grounding. Sometimes it can make people get more floaty, but in your instance, I feel it's more grounding, because it is helping you separate the ego from the transcendental, so that you can fast track your spiritual evolution during this incarnation. Okay. All right. So we got, like I said, grounding, paradigm shift, alchemical mutation, spiritual service, and soul child. If soul child feels like a little bit of a separate energy, like you might have a soul child, and there's a lot of different messages that can apply to that, but it feels to me like somebody who, it's not your actual child, but you feel on a soul level connected to them. And that can be really confusing in this lifetime when that happens, because society bases children on biological parents. But when you feel a strong connection to a child that isn't, you're not the biological parent of, you know, there's a gray area there. So just bringing light to that as a thing. But if I get any more messages on it, then I'll refer back to that. Okay. Paradigm shift. So it's like a door being opened for you. And with alchemical mutation, this has to do with, because spiritual service is connected to it, this has to do with you getting an upgrade so that you can do your spiritual service. You know, it's like without the upgrade, you're not going to be able to be as effective. This is coming from outside of yourself, and it's nothing that you can speed up. It has nothing to do with your daily life, except that when you're ready, you'll receive it. And how quickly that happens depends on you to a degree. But there's other factors too, like it just might not be the right time cosmically either. It might be that it's dependent on the collective, and whatever it is isn't ready to be brought forward yet. But you're going to be receiving it in your lifetime. This feels bigger than upcoming, you know, it doesn't feel like it's next month. This feels like when you're ready, it will happen. When it's ready to be gotten from the universe, you will receive it. So there's two sides to it. And you're absolutely going to have to be grounded. That's the part on your side for you to be ready for it, is you won't be given it if you're not grounded, if you can't fully integrate it, if you're in your ego persona as opposed to your divine state of being, and your balanced masculine and feminine. So definitely feels like future. For some, it will be sooner. But there's more than one, and so they'll build upon each other. And the one that's very next, and the whole process in general, feels connected to the collective. So if it's been delayed, that's why. But the time is very soon for these paradigm shifts to happen. The alchemical mutation has to be triggered in order for this to be able to come through. So mutation in this context feels like it's an internal, like a internal switch being turned, like a circuit breaker, and it's been off, and you're like, how come this plug never works? And you go to the circuit box and you click it, and you're like, oh, my bad, it's been off. So internally you make that switch, and then from then on, it's go time. Have to stay grounded. Your spiritual service depends on it, because the way you're best able to help people is to be you yourself grounded, a grounded person. Like me as a tarot reader, compared to some other readers who might be very like, they talk about really grandiose spiritual concepts that a person who wants to know is it a right time to purchase a home, they're not that kind of reader. I am that kind of reader, but I am able to read on the bigger levels. Some people are like legit only the higher level states of consciousness, literally only. And I am saying for you to not be like that, because you're going to be putting yourself in a box that is only marketable to other people who want that, but that's not going to be how you're best in service. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to put these to the side, and I'm going to look at the Light Seers Tarot. Okay. Two of Cups. Nice. So this is you in conjunction with another. There always, always, always is another person in the Two of Cups. It is not just you. So this feels like a team effort. This feels like a power couple. This feels like two people who work together for a solidified thing. And that is their spiritual service and where they're coming from. A very grounded relationship. High Priestess. Connecting, that's the divine feminine right there. You know, if we get the Hierophant, or no, is it Emperor? I'm trying to think what the counterpart for the High Priestess is, and my brain just totally skipped that. Okay, Eight of Swords. Here's the thing about Eight of Swords is the person in the Eight of Swords is always having a mental block, a mental perception of being in a situation that they can't change. But that's not the case ever in the Eight of Swords. And really important, you don't need somebody else to break you out of your stuckness. You can have to shift out of it yourself, to include you asking for divine intervention. Feels like it'll be on deaf ears because you're meant to come out of it in your own accord. Okay, so Page of Swords. You might be really evolved spiritually, but there's like a going back to the books kind of feeling here with the Page of Swords, going back to the drawing board with reevaluating your foundation that you might have started from. Do I actually currently still believe this thing? Or do I need to change my mind on it? Because as time has gone by and as I understand things on a deeper level, maybe I don't agree with this or that anymore. Seven of Pentacles is be okay with the times when you're feeling blocked or when you're feeling like you're on hold, because you are. It's like a time of maintenance. It's like, don't fall in a rut of not doing your meditation and stuff, but on the other hand, there's nothing that you can do except this is the time to to bring out an old book that you meant to read and you haven't had a chance, or to look at one you've already read and you'll notice that you understand it from a different perspective now, or to learn a new spiritual skill. It's not the time to be putting out there right now other than what you feel drawn to. But if it feels like a struggle, then you're not going to do so. You'll just wait. It's not the right time. Okay, Ace of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, and Justice. I think all these came out upright, or did I just turn them? I don't know, but this is a Lightworkers reading, and I pulled the cards out. Pretty sure in all of the light, because when they're reversed, it's the shadow in this deck. So, I think that's pretty cool. Walking the tightrope. Walking on eggshells. I feel like your beliefs are unique. They stand out. They make you look and feel weird. Be selective on who you share your beliefs with, because certain people just wouldn't be benefited from it, even if you're normally one to express your beliefs on things, because you're so convicted in your own truth that you speak openly about it, and that's fine. But this is where the grounding comes in. To be most effective, you're not meant to help everybody, and people will come to you that feel drawn to you. Trust that. And if there's a time period where nobody's coming to you, that's okay, because there's shifts happening, and they'll come to you when it's the right time, and the right people will come to you. So you don't have to go searching for anybody. It will come to you, to include that Two of Cups, that other person. And that doesn't have to be a romantic person. That could be like a partnership, somebody you work with. It could even be you in conjunction with spirit, and not necessarily you working with another human person, because you might not be able to find somebody who's where you're at, and you're in a different level. But this isn't the big takeaway with the Two of Cups is it's not coming from you. It's coming from you and another. Let's say it could be even the divine feminine. It could be the light beings, whatever. It could be a combination. It could be from a soul child. This might be something you work on with a child, literally. Maybe you work with children. Maybe that's part of your spiritual service, is to work with children. And maybe you're doing something that is a very grounded thing. You understand these high spiritual concepts, but you don't do that in your everyday life. That's fine. The time will come where you do so. But for right now, keep doing what you're doing, and keep your spiritual stuff on the back burner if it makes sense to do so. Normally, I would say be authentic, be this and that, but in your case, I'm getting a different kind of vibe. But don't be the Eight of Swords. Don't be feeling like a victim to circumstances. Don't feel like you're trapped in by not being able to express yourself in this way. There's a time and place, and your being grounded is for good reasons. Being high up in the sky right now it's not in the cards, if you will. All right, yeah, that's what I'm getting for you guys, pile 1. Now, if you also picked pile 2, go ahead and stick around while I get my stuff together here and get ready for that. Insight was 3. Okay. Let go is pile 2. Putting everything that I used for this one to the side so that I don't get it confused. Okay, deck 2, deck 3, deck 4. No, 1, 2, 3 actually. Okay. Pile 2. If you picked let go, we're going to start with you by me pulling more cards to get more context of what the message is for you. Okay, visualize. Visualize yourself being free of the thing that is currently holding you back. Literally say, what would it feel like if this thing that's so, because it's not a permanent thing, you notice. The thing that's holding you back is temporary, and you know that there's literally a time frame that you can say, I know that this won't even be a factor by this amount of time frame. What will it feel like then when you don't have to deal with that thing that is keeping you bound anymore? Alignment. That's why you want to visualize it. So you're putting yourself in alignment with your future energy so that it can affect your current. Divine animals. Okay, expansion. Expanding your skill set. So what you currently do, adding on some more. Maybe you're feeling a plateau right now. Soul name. First card in the sequence of the deck order. And joy. Okay, I have enough to go on here. Man, when you're free of that thing, it's going to give you a lot of joy, isn't it? So that's the energy you want to be in order to be expansive, in order to be in alignment. So you got to visualize the energy of that joy. That's the type of thing that works best for you and your personal signature of how to manifest things. Okay, and then divine animals just seems to stick out. I'm going to put it to the side. In pile 1, I had about a soul child, and I put it off to the side. Same about the divine animals. It doesn't feel like a whole part of your message unless, say, you work with animals, or that would be a huge indication. But the other indication would be you have animals that you're connected to, or you're very strongly connected to animals. Like that might be something that's your calling, whether you're doing it now or not. You might need to put yourself in alignment to do your soul calling. Soul name feels to me like it's not your personal name. It feels like it's something that you would bring through. That would be like a modality, and you'd name it something. So that might be what you're caught up on right now. You're like caught up on, what do I name this thing? It almost feels to me like you're like, I have to name it in order to bring it through, because I need to like have that energy associated with it. And then once I have that name, then I can, really start to hone in and work on it. Once I like kind of label it, and what is it meant to do exactly in this? Well, the let go message I'm getting with it is, that's not the order of how you're going to do this. You don't get the name first. You bring it forward, and then the name will happen as a result of the energy of it as a whole. Whatever it is, joy coming up means I'm getting that it's your natural state of being to be in joy. And if you're not right now in that state, it's because of all the collective karmic stuff of when I say collective in this context, I don't mean literal the collective like I usually mean. I mean a collection of karma that has happened since you were born, all the things you've experienced and been succumbed to, you have it has affected your joy. And in order for you to have your full expansion as well, this is something that you're going to need to let go of, literally, um, processing in order to do so. This might be part of whatever you're going to be bringing in, whether it be a modality or whatever else that you're bringing in. Doing visualization will help you to be in the state to bring something in. Doing visualization will help you let go. Doing visualization will help you with your expansion and to bring in your joy, to put you in alignment. All that. You might have something to do with meditations because of the fact that you got the visualize part of it. Okay, so there's that. Switch to deck number 2. Let's see what else we get. Yeah. Okay. Deck number 2. What more is there to say? Help give context or whatever else. So far we have divine talents, master healing, an invitation to connect, initiation by fire. That one had turned around, but I put it back in because I wasn't sure. But then it came back out. So ascension, rainbow bridge. That's an old concept, this whole rainbow bridge thing. Heard about it back in like 2013. Or maybe even sooner. No, I heard about it in like 2011. All right. Divine grace, the law of efficiency. That one tried to come out earlier too. Third ray of creative intelligence. A lot of big things. A lot of big themes that I'm getting for you in pile 2. So you have big shoes to fill that you set up for yourself. So it's your own fault that you have all these big shoes to fill, because what happened was you set the bar really high for yourself, thinking that you'd be able to accomplish all this. Therefore, guess what? You can. You got this. It's just I think it's been set back, or it's been a little bit harder of a road than you expected when you first came up with this grandiose plan that you had for yourself before you were born. There were some wrenches and spokes that you weren't planning on. You got a flat tire that you didn't expect. It set you back. But all in all, you'll push through. You'll make it happen. Divine talents. You might be very talented at something. You might have a specific thing that you're like a prophecy about. A prophecy, that's not what I meant. A prodigy about. That you have. And that might be something that you need to continue with. Because... Did I show you these cards, by the way, or did I just say them? This was the Ascension Rainbow Bridge card. So as I talk about them, I will well, kind of. I kind of skip all over the place, and I combine cards too. So divine talents. I kind of feel apprehensive about showing you this one because I don't feel it's necessarily a musical instrument. This is different. Like, let's say I have a divine talent of the way I teach Tai Chi classes, because I do feel like that. I feel like whether I used to be in another life some kind of Tai Chi master, and I'm just like kind of feeling like I have the understanding of it at a very core nature of how it's intended to be, to help people in this current time, if that makes sense. Keeping let's switch it to yoga. Okay, so yoga is very sacred to me as its philosophy. Same with Tai Chi, but with yoga it's more practical to explain, and a lot more people are familiar with yoga. So like you have your 8 limbs of yoga, which have to do, only one of them is asana. So the physical poses is only one of the 8 limbs of yoga. And another one is the breath. So breath work alone, and I mean conscious breath, is another one of the limbs. Where I'm going with this is understanding the sacredness of something, but having like a understanding of how it really relates, or what, and it just, to me, it feels like you don't want to get stuck on tradition of something. You have a new way to shine light on it. If you keep it the old way, it doesn't evolve. And you don't need permission from somebody else in order. It's like I never got permission from somebody to say, you are allowed to teach Tai Chi. I never got that, because I just took it and I ran with it. And I never, ever, ever judged myself for saying, well, what gives me qualification to teach Tai Chi when nobody's ever given me permission? Well, who needs to give me permission? Another human? When I feel like I have an understanding of it on a soul level that can't really be explained. And I don't even try to explain it. It's just the way that I teach it that is transcending logic and reason. So that's where that third ray of creative intelligence is tying in. And the reason I'm going on and on about my stuff is so that you can relate it to your stuff. Not so that I can get you sold on my Tai Chi classes, because I'm not currently teaching. But yeah, and then here's the divine grace, the law of efficiency, is you don't have to do things the old way when a new way might be more efficient. Now, obviously, this can apply to any circumstance, so you take it to be your own. Okay. Initiation by fire, invitation to connect, master healing. These are the remaining cards that I haven't really connected with. I'm trying to figure out where I kind of want to go with them. One thing I'm noticing, and I checked the other cards to see if this is a theme, and it's not, is these 2 cards. Look at the little bubbles above the guys' heads. They're the same in both. And so when you have an invitation to connect to master healing, that's telling me that you are invited, but you have not yet done the connection part of it. And you definitely want to take up on that. To include, look at this now that I'm seeing it, it's a big bubble. So here is the invitation to connect with these little bubbles. You got to put yourself in that bubble of the connection. The other thing I'm noticing about your cards is literally every single one of your cards has people on them. So that wasn't the case, I think. Yeah, it was not the case with the prior group. They had cards that looked like this, some of them. They didn't have people on every single one. And when you have invitation to connect, and it does feel to me like it's two other people, you might have a teaching role where you're a teacher and they're a student, just like in my instance. And you teaching from a bigger perspective than just the physical of what you can teach them. And you might not even have a complex understanding of it, but you understand the energy behind it. So you have invitation to connect, an initiation by fire, followed by a master healing, you being the master healer. You being a master healer doesn't necessarily mean healing in that context. Healing can be many things, and so you can be healing by just listening to somebody vent. You know, they're having a hard day and you're just like, go ahead, spill it, you know, what's up, what's going on? And then you just hear them talk, and then they feel better, you know. That's being a master healer in just one example. But in order to be able to do that, you have to be in a receptivity. I was trying to say two different things. You have to be in a space of receptivity. And in order to do that, you need to purposely put aside your own stuff so that you can be in a place to really hear somebody else's own stuff without thinking about whatever else is going on in your life. That in itself is a form of meditation. That is what happens when you go to a yoga class, is for that span of time that you're in that class, you're not thinking about your own stuff. You're distracted by what you're doing. You have to be in the moment. That is a meditation. So same thing, the more you do, you're in a situation where you have to be really focused and on something. And I don't mean passively focused. I mean actually paying attention to something else, and you're distracted from your own problems. The more you're able to be in that state with all other things that you deal with. So you're really able to be present for people with all these people that you're needing to connect with. I don't think I showed you, did I? I don't know. The third ray of creative intelligence. I think I showed you the other ones for sure. I'm being drawn back to this one. First step is asking, the second step is receiving. First step is prayer, second step is meditation. And when I say meditation, I mean active listening. That's what meditation is. And I don't know if it's, meditation seems to be like this elusive thing that people have a hard time saying, like, I can't meditate. And then they just like drop it. They're like, I just can't meditate. Have you really tried? Oh yeah, I've tried for like 5 minutes and it didn't work. My mind was just wandering. Right. Because you weren't listening. Think about it. If you are in the room with somebody and they're talking and you're listening actively, that's like a meditation. Meaning that's the same state you have to be in when you're meditating, is you're like waiting for, if you get something like a revelation or an inspiration, or like, you know, something comes to you and you're like, oh wow, you know, it might not happen. The whole, like, let's say 5 minutes that you spend being in that state of receptivity, well, if all you get out of it is nothing, that's fine, that's great. That's the basic level goodness about it. But next level is, sometimes I'll be in a shavasana at the end of a yoga class and I'll be just like totally zoned out, and then boom, something comes to me. And it could be random, like daily life something where I'm like, oh, I forgot to make that phone call. But there's a difference between your mind wandering and it's like chitter chatter all over the place, monkey mind, versus flatline silence, and then boom, something comes to you. Totally different. And you have to be in a space of literally nothing on your mind to the point of absolution, and then boom, something kick in, and then you're like, ooh, I forgot about that. Or or it could be something more cosmic, where let's say you put yourself in that state of receptivity, of that invitation to connect. You're like, okay, I'm going to RSVP to this invitation to connect. And then you're like, okay, I am going to allow myself to receive an initiation, whether you consciously experience anything from that or not. It's more just like, take the 5 minutes with the intention of receiving an initiation. And then if something comes from it, it was the right time. You're in the right space to receive. You're in alignment with it. You're having a new level of ascension. You're expanding more. Obviously, I'm bringing the initial cards back into it. Okay, and there's that visualization, because we didn't know when I was talking about visualization earlier about necessarily how to proceed with it. Now we have a ballpark idea of what to visualize. And last but not least, if you need help letting go of something and you haven't yet been able to let go, it might be because it's bigger than you. It might be more complex. You might need some creative intelligence to deal with it. You might need to think outside the box. It might be of a different level of intelligence than just your rational mind. So it might not be something you can tackle simply if you're struggling with letting go of something. Okay. We'll switch to the Lightseer Tarot now. See what else we get. Okay, let me make sure I'm putting these where I need to, so I don't get them confused with each other. Yeah, I got them all mixed in. I'll deal with it later, whatever. The only one I want to have aside is Insight, because that's for pile 3. Okay, Lightseer's Tarot. Whoa, cards are flying. Jeez. Four more. Cards are not really as random as you might think. I know some of you know this, I'm preaching to the choir, but the reality being that you're energetically manipulating the cards that need to come out. And when I say you are, it's coming from a higher intelligence. Oops, I'm one short. Way higher intelligence than the human mind. Okay. 9 of Swords. Judgment. Page of Pentacles. 10 of Wands. 2 of Swords. 4 of Swords. 2 of Pentacles. And Hierophant. Okay, here's the deal. I'm just going to say this quickly. 9 of Swords and Judgment feel to me, when I was talking about, you don't need permission from another person in order to be able to do something or bring something forward. You just do it because you have a handle on it, like from a perspective that's truly beneficial and helpful. Just run with it. Okay, without talking yourself like, oh, what authority do I have, Okay. Page of Pentacles and Ten of Wands. It feels like you need a new start. It feels like the Ten of Wands is always just such a heavy kind of card. And the light at the end of the tunnel with the Ten of Wands is that it's the end of a cycle, being that it's the 10. But then I feel like the Page of Pentacles is immediately following, even though normally it'd be the Ace. But here's the reason why you're skipping. Notice 10 and then Page comes right after. It's just a different suit. So I feel though like you're skipping all of the Pentacles stuff and going straight for the Page part of it. It's like where you're implementing something. Ten of Wands is like an old mentality of things. Page of Pentacles is like a refreshing mentality of things. New energy to it. Once you got the inspiration. You do have the Two of Pentacles in here, which shows going back and forth on it. But you got to commit and be like, nope, I am going to do this. This was the final distinction of what I needed to hear in order to be able to go through with, proceeding with me having the authority on this from my own inner being, as opposed to what somebody else would deem me to be ready. Okay, Two of Swords and Four of Swords. You're the same as pile one, where all your cards, I mean, they were flipping out, but they all felt kind of like upright, which I said was, this is a light worker reading, and you got the cards in the light position as opposed to the shadow position. However, Nine of Swords, Ten of Wands might not be good to have in the upright, but I'm just saying generally, not literally for your reading. Because I already addressed both of those things anyway, and they're not like, they weren't what the messages could be taken out of the context of this reading. I mean, you were definitely meant to be doing something big this lifetime. And the Four of Swords to me is like you've been dragging your feet about it when you know better, and you've been making excuses for doing so, and it's like, but you do know better. So I think the time for dragging your feet on it is over, and you just needed that cosmic kick in the butt in order to do so. And then Hierophant is that inner authority, but it's coming from you. You're the inner authority. There's more here, but I don't know. Okay, so I'm going to show you this card because I'm seeing this. So she's blindfolded, right? And she's in her own happy little world. And these crows are like picking at her hair, trying to get her attention. They're obviously cawing right in her face. And she's just like, la-di-da-di-da. She probably has headphones on and her music is really loud. So she's not able to hear them. So they're like, okay, you can't hear us. Let's try to get your attention by pulling at your hair. And look at her. She's just like kind of dismissing it. She's like, it's pulling at my hair. But she's like in her own little world. In the context of what I was saying just a minute ago, it's like you've been, and this is where I was coming from it before, you have two cards that are validating the same exact message, but in different ways. You've been asleep too long. You're dragging your feet and all that. That's what I was saying in regards to this one. But this one is like, you're just literally like blinded to the divine messages You're not blinded, actually. You're choosing to be blinded by them. You're like la-di-da-di-da. If I don't see it, then it doesn't exist. When in reality, it really does exist. And you know it, but you're choosing to be like, not for me. It doesn't exist for me. So that's in relation to your own thing, though. Your own thing that you're supposed to be doing or bringing in or whatever on a spiritual level, because you're in the day to day with that 10 of Wands, and you're just like, you've got your plate full and you're dealing with stuff. So you're like, I don't have the time to deal with the spiritual stuff right now because I'm so entrenched in the regular. And that time has passed for that to, okay, you got away with it for so long. Now it's time to, better, and you need to switch tracks. All right, that's what I'm getting for you guys. So that's the conclusion of pile 2. If you picked pile 3, go ahead and stick around. Pile 3 was insight. Okay. Okay, pile 3, if you picked insight, I'm going to go ahead and get some more cards for you to add to your messages. Soulcraft. So you might be waiting for some insight. You might be at a writer's block kind of stage of things. It's like you've made some progress, but there's more to go. Wellness. There is only light. Not to say there is only light literally, but there is only light as far as what illuminates things. So things are either dark or light, but everything is only light because the light is the illumination of everything else. I don't know if that makes sense. I get it on a level, like on a visualization, but then I'm trying to describe it. Channeling and authentic truth and color. So there is only light. Even if it comes through as color, it's still light. Darkness is the absence of light. Okay, grounding. So if you picked 1 and 3, grounding came out for both. Yeah, I think that's it for you guys. Well, soul journey. It does feel like it was kind of sticking out, and I'm like, and then I'm like, yeah, we'll work it in. Okay. Soulcraft. Wellness. Because this feels like you're providing people with wellness. There is only light. With color, I'm putting those two together, kind of. Not to say I won't get separate messages. Okay. Channeling and authentic truth feel connected. And soul journey and grounding. So for you guys, I'm getting that if you've never done soul journeying, it's overdue, because you're supposed to be facilitating other people to be soul journeying. How can you help facilitate if you yourself have been delaying your own soul journey? I'll leave it at that. But if you don't know what I mean by soul journey, there's a whole bunch of different ways that this could happen. I don't feel like I need to describe all the different ways. Maybe if you feel called to, you can Google it and see what exactly does soul journey mean, because it might mean something different for each of you, and therefore whatever you're guided to is what you're meant to be guided to about it. Use discernment, weed out whatever doesn't feel like it fits holistically, wholly, our goal here is wellness as far as the soul journey goes, not curiosity, not like, ooh, I should soul journey because it sounds cool. Like, the time for fun is over. This is like getting down to the nitty gritty so that you're in a place to help others if you're not already. So, authentic truth and channeling, if you're not already able to do so, it's like hurry up and get caught up, because you are supposed to be publicly helping other people. Publicly. This isn't a one-on-one thing. This isn't like keeping to yourself. This is helping masses through what you bring forward. What are you bringing forward? Authentic truth. Not your truth, not your personal bias, not other people's truth, not society's truth. Authentic truth. You know, the core card being insight. You have the ability to bring through some really high level stuff that even I feel like I'm not privy to, because it's not my thing, at least not right now. I don't even know what my thing is right now. My thing right now is what I'm doing right now. Literally, like this. Among the other things that I'm doing right now. And there's something with that too, is that some people are like, what is it? What am I here to do? Like, as if it's this mystery. You're here to do what you're doing right now for the most part, because you can't do something with tools you don't yet have. You know, you need to hammer a nail in a wall, and if you don't have a hammer, you're looking around for something that, like, what can I use as a hammer since I don't have a hammer? That's how it feels when you're digging for what am I here to do. It's like, use what you got for now. If you don't have it, you're not putting the nail in the wall. Big deal. Do it later, because you have more important things to worry about right now. And you don't want to do a shoddy job because you don't have the right tool. So it'd be better to wait. So, sure, maybe channeling for yourself first, channeling for others on a one-on-one second. But the what am I here for goal, you are supposed to be bringing through authentic truth. If that's a question on your mind of what am I here to do, there, I just gave it to you. Which doesn't happen very often. So, and it might not be the be all end all, but it is a big thing. So maybe it is. But what's your niche? You know, maybe it's wellness. Maybe it's helping people with soul journeys. Maybe it's bringing through color healing. These are things, you know, I'm gathering from the cards in general. Soulcraft, though, I want to bring that back out, because this is something that you have already crafted and you're literally just pulling it through. It's already in existence. It's already like a thing. So you're just stepping into it. You don't have to create it from scratch. You don't have to do anything with it other than just step into alignment with it and walk forward with it in day-to-day actionable steps. Grounding in between when you're bringing through that authentic truth. Not staying in it too long. Not trying to force it. If nothing's happening, then just be like, I'll come back to it later. And then go do grounding things, which are daily life things. So the there is only light thing is feeling like it's connected to soul journey and helping people shift their perspectives about maybe why certain things have happened from a higher perspective than you are even aware of right now. This is talking about, again, authentic truth. This isn't something that I'm being given the answers of right now. This is something you're going to help other people with, is the perspective that you have or will have based on the authentic truth that you are currently or will be privy to in the context of helping other people understand things from this higher cosmic level of understanding that you will have and bring forward. And one of the things that happens to us as readers is we will get messages for other people through us that we've never heard before, and then we go, ooh, that sounds good. Never heard of that. Maybe I should think about that. Or what might happen might be that we even have to change our views, because it's like, I actually had this opinion about this, but this is coming through right now. Maybe I need to reconsider what I previously believed, because that's what I'm getting for you means that it negates what I thought of before. Okay, eternal now. It's very humbling when you have to shift your beliefs on something because you've received new information. Merkaba, spiritual protection. Sixth ray of devotion. Key of light. There is only light, and here is the key of it. What if you can shed light on things because you're given a key to unlock darkness, to be exposed to the light that was once hidden? And once you're able to receive or shed light on, rather, that whatever was concealed, it opens up whole new understanding of things. Not for you, just for you, that would be selfish, but for everybody. Okay? Eternal now. I keep wanting to say the eternal now, and I keep holding myself back from it because it says eternal now. But no, I feel like the eternal now qualifies to be said due to the importance of the message behind what is eternal now. Being able to connect with any period of time and space. Soul journeying is journeying along the timeline of the soul, anywhere from initial creation all the way to, if we're talking eternal, okay. Let me share something that I don't know how to explain this. I was like thinking about things, as I sometimes do, and I analyze what is it that I know up till now about this certain topic. Topic being the soul in its connection to eternity. How long does the soul last? Because it is a common common belief that the soul is eternal. And I, in a space of receptivity, and here's the difference between when you're personally thinking about something, but when you think of something that didn't come from your head, you're not actually thinking it. It's like it's being given to you through divine intelligence, right? So this came to me about, no, the soul is not eternal because the soul was created. How can something be created and eternal? What is eternal is that which created, but that which is created is not in itself eternal. It has a beginning and it has an end. The soul is not eternal. But when something creates from itself, it carries with it the spark of the initial creation, creator. Therefore, it is eternal in that context. We each have the ability to connect with the eternalism. Pretty sure that's not a word. The eternalism of everything. Sometimes you need to create a new word because it just fits the context. But even if you connect with that, it's for a purpose, not just human understanding of it. So it's for a purpose of sharing that for a reason to benefit others. Okay. I don't think I said Key of Light, and I was talking about it, but I didn't say Earth Healing. And then the last card was Seventh Ray of Ritual, Order, and Ceremony. Okay. So I feel like these two cards are connected in energy, like the way that they present themselves. They both have these people with their arms like completely outstretched and everything. Okay. The devotion that you need to have in order to live a life where you're not just worried about getting information for your own use, but you're thinking about the bigger picture of things. You're thinking about how can this help another and that sort of thing. Okay. Earth healing. Look at this. The barrier of the spiritual and the physical being transcended by this angelic figure handing this child. Keep in mind I'm saying child for a reason. I'm going to talk about it. This scroll of information. This is information from the mouth of babes, right? As they say, children. And look at that. Look at this, right? This is a child that knows some really complex, like they were born awake. They are adults trapped in children's bodies. They are spiritual beings trapped in human bodies, and they know things. But they have to, this is all of us that are starseeds, they have to conform in order to appease adults who either weren't born awake and have not awakened, or were born awake and were stifled. These children, born awake, and maybe, just maybe, they can keep it because they're not being conditioned. They're not having to be putting a lid on what it is they know, because they're not having adults who are putting that program in place for them. They're allowing them to keep their individuality and their understanding of things. Like my son, who's 10, he's legit a socialist. And it's so funny because what happens, like I'm saying he's a socialist naturally because he believes in, like, why can't it just be this way and that way and this way and that way? And I'm like, welcome to being a socialist. But yet you'll hear adults say, socialism, blah, blah, blah. Even though every other first world country has free healthcare, for some ungodly freaking reason, who do you think it is that says to you, socialism, is the people who profit from it, first started it, and then other people to conform to it carry that belief without ever actually digging in deep and researching it for themselves. America is in this bubble of we do things the right way. And if you're watching this from a country, you're like, yeah, freaking Americans, And and I've never been like this. I've always questioned when they say America's the greatest country in the world. I'm always like, but didn't we isn't our foundation based on slaughtering the indigenous people of this country? And isn't there this and that that's a factor? And, you know, blah, blah, blah. Here, me sitting here with my childhood analytical mind going, okay, well, if this is the best there is, then this whole planet sucks, you know? And if you're spoon fed an ideology and you subscribe to it because you've never thought for yourself anything other than that, and this is talking about regular day, stuff, not even spirituality. But then people will find spirituality and then they'll get locked in their beliefs of the world is too harsh, therefore I'm going to switch to spirituality. And I just saved 90% by switching to spirituality because it's a coping mechanism for them. So, seventh ray of ritual, order, and ceremony. Let me see what the book says. I'm thinking, do I really want to intuit that, or should I just give in and look it up? So I'll just read the little synopsis here. When the gift of the seventh ray enters your life, something new is being formed, something that will benefit your world. There may be an increased interest in magic, ceremony, and ritual for healing purposes. Resonating with high frequency violet light and the archangel Zadkiel, the seventh ray also helps transmute energy from lower to higher frequency. It is a spiritual cleansing agent that allows the truth of spiritual freedom, empowerment, and choice to be seen and felt, restoring hope and joy to the heart. That would have been a good card for group 2 to get also. So I don't feel like I need to dwell on the seventh ray of devotion, because if you're watching, you're highly likely devoted to helping the world on a big scale of things. One thing to be mindful of is with this Merkaba spiritual protection is you definitely need to make sure that you are protected in a space of being protected energetically from outside influences, energetically, spiritually, outside influences in the physical world in the form of humans who are judgmental, not understanding, stuck in the 3D, not spiritual, closed-minded, wanting to cause you chaos in your life, and so on, if you have that as a factor. It could even be as simple as you have some kind of information to pass, and then you bring it forward, and because of people's cognitive dissonance, they're poo-pooing all over what you came up with, and you're like, okay, and it could be discouraging to you. But so it's don't allow yourself, let's say you tell somebody an idea you have and they're just like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and say negative things. And you're just like, oh, sorry I brought it up. Jeez. I didn't really ask you for your opinion. I was sharing this information with you. Thought you would revel in it with me, but apparently you have opinions. Key of Light. Earth Healing. Look at both of these cards, how similar they are in that they're being handed from the physical, or not from, but from the spiritual to the physical. How do you receive something from the spiritual if you're not in a state of receptivity? Hey, you, take this. Cool, what do I do with it? Here's a key. What do I do with it? Here's a scroll. What do I do with it? Give it to your parents. That's what I'm getting with the kid. Hey, see this? Go give it to your mom. Mom, here. Where'd you get that? Oh, some man was in the living room and he gave it to me. Or like, okay, Grandpa told me that blah blah blah. Honey, Grandpa's been dead for X amount of years before you were even born. Yeah, but he was in the living room in the rocking chair and he told me to. Honey, that's just your active imagination. Natural mediums, and then it gets squashed by the parents who don't understand. Or, I have an invisible friend. Oh, honey, that's just your active imagination. Mommy, there's something scary in my room. Oh, that's just your imagination. That might have been you when you were a kid, or it might be relevant to you as a parent, or maybe you're supposed to do something with that perception or perspective of how children are raised, and how does that apply to your understanding if, say, you have grandkids or something. Okay, key of light. Back to that. So yeah, because there's that, my imaginary friend told me, I wasn't thinking of that when I said it, but then my eyes were drawn to it and I'm like, oh yeah. I watched a movie about that. They were in Australia and they had imaginary friends that ended up saving their life or something. It was really weird. I forget all the details of it. Overall, it was like a kind of boring movie, but I got the gist of it. Sometimes the synopsis of a movie is better than the actual movie. Just summarize it for me and tell me what it was about. Okay. Man, you're given this key, but you don't know which door to pick, right? You're like, oh my God, there's so many doors. How do you not waste your time checking all of them? Well, you use your intuition. So you're like, all right, I got this key. I am going to use the force to pick which door. So door is a parallel to path. Which path are you going to choose? Well, you only have a key for one of them. But you open that door, what lies on the other side? More choices. So it's a rabbit hole of choices. You pick one, leads to another, all that sort of thing. Okay. Tarot, and then we're done. Light Seers. 8 of Cups. Nine of Wands. 3 of Cups. Queen of Pentacles. Eight of Pentacles. Temperance. 6 of Wands. 4 of Wands. Okay. Only major arcana in here is Temperance. think you have some real life stuff to attend to before you're fully able to go all the way forward with your purpose. But that's okay, because you might not have, in fact, I feel like you're in a stage of receiving right now. So you're not ready to share all of it, at least. You know what I mean? Like, you cannot expect to receive all of it before you're ready to share. You can share what you got now, but then do it in stages. And then when you're ready to assimilate it all, put it in one package deal, then release that as a package, but don't expect to get it all at once. Bit by bit, as you, and again, not paying attention to feedback that's negative. Don't even pay attention to feedback. You're putting it out there just to put it out there. You're not expecting anything to come of it. It's for a greater purpose, you know. It's for your own sanity to be doing what it is that you feel like you're supposed to be doing. I mean, side effect is you're going to have your physical needs met and you're going to get recognition for it, but it's also going to bring you in alignment with other people that will be a ally and a partner, maybe, but it's like more like a collaboration with others. Eight of Pentacles. Yep. In that receptive mode. You don't have all of it yet. Put out what you do have. One at a time. Pace it out. Like you're like, ooh, here's 9 of Wands, right? Ooh, I have 9 things. Like 9 chapters of a book. Put one out first, even though you have 9 of them. And then put the second one out. And then by the time you get to where you would have 9, you're already, like, it helped boost you. It helped give you the rest of it, because it's like you had too much. Your cup was too full to hold anymore. You had to put it out and release it so that you now have room to get the rest of it. So stop holding on to it and waiting for the right opportunity for what you do have already. Even though I pulled 8 for everybody else too, I think. I know I did for pile 2. I still feel like there's a little bit more. There's like something unsaid. See if I can get it with these cards. Queen of Cups. Strength. Death and rebirth. You know why they do that, right? Why it says death and rebirth? It's because people freak out about death because they don't consider the rebirth part of it. King of Wands reversed. You're the only group that got a definite reversed card. I want to read what it says about King of Wands reversed because of that. It stands out. But yeah, people see death and they go, oh my God. Okay. King of Wands reversed is being overly ambitious, a need for compassion, egomania, being too assertive, explosive emotions, and impatience. Okay, and if it's in the positive, it's an entrepreneurial spirit, a natural born leader, ideas that could be ultra successful, a creative visionary, timelessness, success, fire. So why was it so pronounced to be in the reverse? I don't know. Maybe watch for those things that I called out. Watch for somebody else in your life being like that too. If that's not you, but you know somebody like that, they're the person that's going to be the critic of your success, and to not let that happen. So in the regular tarot, the death card is the ending of something. It's always the ending so something can begin, though, which is why they have rebirth on here, because it's like rising from the ashes. You have to end something, and that's what's going on in this world. I feel as a whole is a lot of things are coming to light, a lot of things are being exposed so that the old ways can end, because we need a transformation. Temperance, the healing of things, it's overdue. So rebirth in that context, but how does it apply to you as a light worker? You know, you didn't just come here to live a life. That's boring. That's playing small. So, you know, you didn't come here to be born, to get indoctrinated into the ways of the world, and to never transcend them. You have to have an ego death, not necessarily of your own, but of your ways of being and living, and your ways of fitting in have to die, so that you can come with this new way of being, fully in your strength card, you know, fully in your power of your divine nature. Queen of Cups, bringing emotional healing to other people. What is the most emotionally healing thing, besides maybe, you know, validation is coming to mind, is understanding. And if you can bring understanding of things to people, they can be healed by that. If you can explain to them maybe why did they go through this, what to take from it, how can they themselves help others, because we all need that sense of purpose as to why we're here. We all need that. So you might already have a handle on it. You're going to have to help empower others to find that as well. And so it goes on and on and on. It needs to ripple effect through society. And man, it's probably going to take a while. It would take a big, huge collapse in order to start new. Not to freak anybody out, but sometimes I have dreams about like nuclear explosions. And I don't know if it's just because it's in my subconscious from having learned about it. You know, you see the images on TV about what that looks like. So then it's obviously stored as an image in your brain, and then you have this dream. I don't know if you've ever had one, but you know, you have this dream of seeing that and whatever ensues after. But how does that make you feel? Because I know for me, when I saw it visually in my dream, I was like, oh, that's kind of close. Counting how long before it affects me. Will it affect me? I mean, obviously it will, but will it affect me painfully? It's kind of the first thought. You know, you seeing something and then it sets in like, ooh, shit just got really real. And then in my dream, I heard a voice say, what did it say? I wish I can remember exactly. It was like, do you want, this is what it said. It said, do you want to be like me? And it was a female voice. And I didn't know what it meant, but I knew what it meant. What it meant was, do you want to transcend the cycle of death and rebirth? Or do you want to die right now? It's like I was given a choice. Or do you want to die right now and come back again? And I was like, I want to be like you. And then I was put in some kind of vessel, like a pod, myself, and there was another girl too, and she seemed scared. I was calm. She seemed scared. We were both put in it. It closed, it sealed, and then it opened again, and then I woke up. So I could sit here and try to analyze that dream all day, or go to somebody who's like a dream analysis and be like, hey, what does this dream mean? Don't really care to, because to me the importance and the interesting thing was that very powerful voice that said, do you want to be like me? And me not hesitating, I did not hesitate. I said yes. You know, when sometimes we say, oh, this is totally my last life, I don't want to come here anymore. But on the other hand, if this world, if this planet were perfect and awesome and everybody was like super, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have to sit here and describe what it would be like. Well, heck yeah, I'd want to be here. It'd be great. I'd be very curious too to see what might that mean. But I've had dreams about that too, about whether it be a future of this earth or whether it be like another location that's earth-like. Either way, I know how it felt, and it felt amazing. There was no hatred for anybody or anything. Everybody was accepted as equal to yourself across the board, no matter what. And what was so, it really did feel like it's a potential future, like it is within our grasp to reach this. But I don't know what that's going to take. So if it is actually possible, or if I'm just like being unrealistic with my hopes of the world and its possible potentials. Yeah, I think I'm being a little unrealistic. But I think I'm done. So thank you for joining today, and I hope that was helpful and you got something out of it instead of me just blabbing all day. And I'll see you on another reading. Thanks.